Story 1. Around 27 years old, I hit rock bottom mentally, financially, and emotionally and realized no one was coming to save me. That is when the real work began. Story 2. I am 37 years old and had no motivation to do much of anything until I had a wife and children to do it for. Story 3. I was about 25 or 26. I had a lot of fun in my early 20s, but at that age, I started to want a bit more stability. I am 34 now, living a slightly slower life and still enjoying it. Story 4. In some respects, age 5 or 6. In other respects, I am still working on it. Story 5. Around the 30th to 31st is when things really started clicking for me. Story 6. I am still working on that. I am currently 18. Hopefully by 20 it is fixed. Story 7. This May, I am 24 years old. I am currently trying to find housing and get things done. I lived with my mother, who took my supplemental security income money and my electronic benefit transfer money. She treated me like a maid and nanny, acting as if her eldest child, me, was supposed to be an adult at age 10. I hated my life, but now I am happy even though I am homeless right now. Story 8. What is this getting your life together concept you speak of? Story 9. At 27, I finally got it together and have made 6 figures ever since. Story 10. I wouldn't say I was forced to grow up, but I did put 2 and 2 together once I moved in with my now wife. We got an apartment together, and a year later we bought our current house. I did in a year what I didn't do in 8 years working. I was knee-deep in cash, so purchasing my first house didn't even feel like a burden at all. I even had money a couple of years later to renovate the kitchen completely, not to mention the bathrooms and the floors. I got into pricey hobbies. I enjoy my 30s better than my 20s. I work less hard, fewer hours. Stable. Why would I work so hard to chase money? Those 8 years I was telling you about, I had about $200 in my bank account despite working 50 to 55 hours a week. In that 1 year, I saved $30,000, which made moving into the new house feel like a walk in the park. Easy as pie, 0 down payment on utilities. I live below my means, so even now with this inflation, I don't feel the burden like most people are feeling. Story 11. At 27, I am in a transitional period. I have been on Wegovy for about 5.5 months and am currently down about 30 pounds. I have spent the past few years trying to get into trade school. They have been tenacious in delaying my enrollment with bureaucratic red tape, but I have made progress and should be able to enroll within the next few months, assuming no unexpected issues arise. I have been working on building physical stamina and endurance by standing for long periods and riding a stationary bike, primarily to prepare for trade school and to support the effects of Wegovy. I have also recently started learning French on a language learning platform. I would like to think that I am on the right track to get my life together. However, the growing pains are difficult, especially considering how challenging my life has been. Hopefully, it will all pay off someday. Story 12. When I was 34 and suddenly became a single father to a 3-year-old, I lost my job, was left with a house I could not afford, and had about $3,000 in the bank. It was basically a sink or swim moment. Thankfully, fear and anger are very potent motivators. Story 13. I was so sure I had my life together at 10, completely positive. Then 11 hit and I realized that was the true turning point. When I turned 12, that became the undeniable truth. It continued year after year all the way to 48. Any day now, I am sure it will stick. Story 14. For years, I thought that life would lead me in a direction where I was happy. But after many years, that never actually happened. So I took my destiny into my own hands and went back to school in 2016 for a trade. I went into debt spending money on my education and tools, but I learned a lot and started a new career path which ultimately made my life much worse. I worked hard in an industry that does not value mental or physical health. After 3 suicide attempts, I am now broke, unemployed, and in incredibly poor mental and physical health. I wish I had chosen something else or maybe even just stayed on the course I was originally on. Story 15. I was born whole and have fortunately maintained that state. I continue to strive at different times for goals that may seem insignificant but hold meaning. Story 16. 53 failures so far. 2 houses lost to 2 ex-spouses. Money all gone. Now having relationships with women half my age. Win some, lose some. My time left is short, so experiences are more valuable than possessions now. Story 17. It was together until I faced significant challenges in adult life. Story 18. 39. Still have not done it yet. At this point, I am not even sure that there is a worthwhile option. Story 19. 22. And trying, falling, trying again. I will see what it takes to finally give up. Story 20. As we speak, I recently experienced an eye-opening event that I am unable to explain or fully comprehend. People say that individuals cannot change, but I am living proof that this is incorrect. Somehow, I have received an upload or something has been installed in the depths of my conscious awareness. Story 21. Maybe 2026. Maybe the year after. If I decide more is better. I am not convinced. Story 22. First time, age 23, I went back to school to become a teacher. Second time, age 45, I lost my teaching job because of budget cuts. I started writing and doing various jobs. So far, it has been the best and worst decade of my life. Story 23. I was 21 when I found out we were having a boy. My son changed me. I suddenly wanted to be a better person. Story 24. I have been trying my hardest for a long time. I cannot seem to make it work. It is becoming really hard to keep at it. I work very hard, and I just keep failing. Story 25. When I was physically able to, I couldn't really do much as a 3-year-old. Story 26. I am 26 years old now, happy about how my life has been and is becoming. Story 27. I will tell you when that happens. I think I am going in the right direction, but I am not sure. Story 28. I started feeling more together at age 30. However, I am 48 now, and my life has fallen apart again. Hopefully, I have enough life experience this time to pull myself together more quickly. Story 29. When I was 11, I learned that all I could depend on was myself. Story 30. I graduated high school and started college online, but dropped out after losing my Pell Grant and going $3,000 into debt, with seizures beginning. I got jobs using public transportation and rides from coworkers and my mother to get to work, working part-time at minimum wage. Then I lost a good night job for stealing a higher-up's coffee creamer and reacting poorly to his understandable irritation. I was unemployed for 9 months and very depressed. Then, got another part-time minimum wage job. Because that job caused depression and exhaustion, I got a new full-time office job at $16.80 per hour in March of this year. That helped me finally save $5,000 for a car and emergency savings. I got a car to replace the one I crashed in 2019 due to brake failure at the beginning of last month. Then, on July 10, 2025, I crashed that car as well and fractured my wrist and right leg. I am now at home with a splint on my right leg, working from home, and starting over by saving $3,000 for another auto loan once my leg finishes healing. Story 31. I think you have to define what you mean by having your life together. I believe we are always growing and learning throughout our lives. For me, feeling more comfortable being myself came after experiences that were validating and authentic. I feel less stressed when I am able to slow down, maintain balance, spend time with people who care about me, enjoy nature, and be creative in some way. Story 32. In my 61 years, one important realization has been that no one ever gets their life completely organized, but we do get better at improvising. Story 33. Every single time I have tried to do this, the universe has kicked me in the nuts. After the 4th time, I am all set. I will settle for what I have and be okay with it. Story 34. I finally left home. It was just too much and unhealthy. Now it is a lot better, but there are still more things to improve. I am doing my best to get there. Story 35. I don't think there is a specific time. There are times in my life when I feel like I have had it together and times when I do not. In my experience, life throws curveballs that knock me off my feet. Then I try to pick up the pieces. I do not think there is a true definition of having your life together. It is subjective. Story 36. On the 27th and 28th, I quit drinking and really started taking getting a degree seriously. Story 37. 25 individuals aged 18 to 24 were dedicated to Warcraft, work, and the gym while living with their parents. Story 38. I feel like I am on the edge of something important. I am 25 and applying to law schools, which will help determine the next years of my life. It will be a more stable career than my previous gig work. But I am scared. It is about growing up, the possibility of moving or choosing where to go for the next few years, and striving for more than what is comfortable right now. Story 39. Still figuring it out, but started pushing myself more at 23. Story 40. I'm almost 40 years old and still have not reached that age. I keep trying, but there are roadblocks. Story 41. It was a shock, but I had to become responsible quickly. I worked very hard, invested, bought my house, and improved my quality of life and that of those close to me. My husband was by my side through it all, along with our 2 pets. Story 42. At 21, I had a child. I started working 4 jobs while still attending school. I have been working in my career field for 12 years now. Story 43. Multiple attempts. Still working on it. It seems to be evolving over time. Now I earn a lot of money at great cost to my health. I would give all my money away to have my health back. Story 44. 28. Doing deliveries for a semi-formal restaurant. My friends from high school, who all attended the top 10 schools in New York City at the time, saw me and said, "Dude, what are you doing here? We didn't expect to see you working here." That hurt. It was exactly what I needed to hear, and I worked hard to get where I am today. Story 45. 10 with some challenges along the way. But 10 is when I realized my parents were completely wrong, and I was on my own. Story 46. At 23, after graduation, I joined the rat race. I got married at 24 and chased the American dream of having a house, 2 cars, and a child. Now at 50, I realize it was all a mirage. I have a steady job, my child will soon enter college, and my marriage is hanging by a thread. I am now more focused on my inner self and my spirituality. At some point, one realizes that we come naked into this world and go naked. You have nothing and you can take nothing with you. Whatever you do in between, make that count. Your job will be replaced in 2 weeks, and you will be just a picture in a photo frame in your home. Story 47. Realistically, right now, I realize I have neglected many things in life and need to work hard to get what I want. I cannot take extra days off just because my work allows it. Once I push past this phase of my life, I should have much more free time and a better paying job in 3 to 6 months. Story 48. My fiancé and I decided to quit our jobs and work for ourselves. We opened a limited liability company and have been operating for around 6 months now. My only regret is that we did not start sooner. Life has been incredible. Story 49. Well, I thought I was starting to get my life together at 26 to 27, but then I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, and it has been rough since. I had managed to pull it all together when my now wife became pregnant with our son, and I got a decent job in manufacturing. I even had a union, which was great. However, the depression crushed that within 6 months. 4.5 years of frustration, fighting against my decades of being a night owl, and learning a skill set that was different from what I had done before, all gone. Now, after losing another job due to overstaffing, I am moving myself and my family back into my grandparents' house because we cannot afford to live on our own anymore. Seattle-Tacoma rents are quite high, and although we had a good deal for years, we fell behind, and the landlord could not manage anymore. I am grateful to have family to fall back on during these times. We would be homeless otherwise. Story 50. I don't think I ever got my life together. I just survived. I met a good woman, fell in love, and she gave me purpose. But still, I was just surviving. Story 51. When I moved away from home for 6 months, I realized all the things and people in my life that were causing me more harm than good. Age was irrelevant. Realizing that you are obligated to nothing and nobody allows you to become yourself, a better version of yourself, and therefore more real and true to yourself and everyone around you. Story 52. I get my life together every 3 years, then ruin it. What is crazy is that it is really all my fault. In the moment, I try to blame others and God. But when you look back, it is really all on you. Story 53. I earned my General Educational Development Certificate and then enrolled in my local college to become a medical assistant. Story 54. Late 20s, that is, recently. I went through a breakup last year, which felt like I was set back to square one in many ways. I decided enough was enough and set myself an idea of what having my life together means, alone, and work towards it. I went to therapy, paid off my debts, started seeing the doctor for some chronic problems I have been having, took up the hobbies I wanted, and began making important decisions about my future. I do not have my own house or a partner, nor any of the grand things that adults are supposed to have, but I have amazing friends, hobbies that give me joy, and a deeper understanding of myself. To me, that is what it feels like to have my life together. Story 55. At 26, I pushed for a lot less. You have one life. This is not a trial run, regardless of what any religion might tell you. Make sure it is balanced. Story 56. It finally dawned on me that I do not want to be another predetermined cog in the machine. Story 57. My parents raided my college fund to send my sister to rehabilitation for the umpteenth time. I got a job, applied for scholarships, and went to a community college to save money before transferring to a 4-year university. My mom wondered why I only came home for birthdays, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Story 58. I am 25, but I have a baby on the way, so it is now or never. I have to be better for my little one. Story 59. Looks like you have it together from the outside looking in. I have a car, a house, a high position at my workplace, and some fancy and expensive things. In reality, I have no clue what is going on. I am just here. Story 60. I quit drinking at 40. I went from unemployment and a poor apartment to a full-time job and a great apartment. Story 61. Still a work in progress, but I started moving with real purpose at 23. Story 62. I'm close. I have my wife, my 2 children, my own place, a good job, and 2 cars, nothing special but still. The things I need are to finish renovating my apartment, start exercising, and work on my diet. Story 63. I am 33 years old and I have just started on that path this year. I hope the journey is not too long because I am lazy. Story 64. I was 28 years old. My job was miserable, my wife was spending our money on alcohol and cheating on me constantly, and I wasn't living in a town that I liked or identified with. In 2015, I finally got a promotion, separated from my wife, gained full custody of my child, and moved to the city. Now I'm in a better place, doing my dream job, living in a bigger house, and married to a woman who treats me like a king. Are there things that could be improved? Yes, but I'm still happy. 10 years ago, I was ready to die. Now I'm happy to live. Story 65. At 31, I left an industry that was soul-sucking. I was there only for the money. Leaving that negative environment was the best decision of my life. I am not sure how, but everything started falling into place after that. It was not magical, of course, but it helped a lot. Story 66. I was sick of trying to do what everyone else thought I should do and feeling like I was directionless. I looked at what I was good at in my personal time and focused my education on that field. Is everything ideal? No, but it gave me a path forward, and I proved to myself that I could make solid decisions and carve out a good life for myself. Story 67. I am 23 years old. I would say for me it was between 15 and 16 years old. I changed everything in terms of my education, got into every college I wanted to attend, secured amazing internships, and now I am on vacation and have a full-time job doing what I love. Story 68. At 30, I ended a horrible 7-year relationship where my significant other was completely dependent on me. I was laid off from my job and lived in a place I hated. Shortly after, I met my future wife, moved to New York City, and got a great job living my best life. Story 69. I unfortunately had a miscarriage, which led to me getting therapy. It did wonders for my anxiety. I felt like I got in touch with myself and accepted myself. I have a baby now, so it is really bittersweet, as I would not have had him if I had not gone through that. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.